Right, so I hope. Okay. Okay, I think we will. Prof is coming up. Let me see. All right, we are about to start this third keynote, and I see Prof. Shuko just logged in. Prof. Shuko, will you still chair this session? Remotely? Can you hear him? No?
Didn't have sound.
Yeah. I can't hear him. But anyway, let's start the session. And as I said, I can chair it. There's some change in the planning. Okay, now you can hear me better, those here. Yeah, first of all, welcome everyone back to the third keynote, right? That's keynote delivered by Dr. Ahmad Luthfi from Universitas Islam Indonesia. And I'm very glad to have him here. And together with me here are the participants live in Kota Kinabalu. And we also have participants online. So it's a hybrid mode. Also, the title for this keynote is Validation of Digital Forensic Investigation. Almost reminds me of CSI. I'm not sure how many of you still watch that. And it's a very important topic because today, one of these things happening in the cyber world, right? There's already a lot of challenges. And I think this topic will help us and inspire us. And I'm very glad to introduce Dr. Luthfi. I have a quick introduction here. He's assistant professor and researcher at the Department of Informatics in Universitas Islam Indonesia, and he has 20 over years of experience. Yeah, and a very dedicated and capable research fellow who has done his doctoral in TU Delft, right, from the Netherlands, and also a master's in UGM and also degree in UBD. Yeah, so without further delay, I'm going to hand the time to Dr. Luthfi, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for very nice introductions. And it is an honor for me to be here virtually from Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Today, I would like to share my ongoing research. The title of Validations of Digital Forensics Investigations, the Roles of Scientific Method and AI. My name is Luthfi from Center of Digital Forensic Studies in our university, namely Universitas Islam Indonesia, which is located in Yogyakarta. It's the central part of Java. To begin with, I would like to introduce the outline of my talk. So I would like to introduce the current situation of the digital forensics issues, and also digital forensics taxonomies and process. In between, I would like to discuss about the challenges and the gaps between the practitioner-driven and the scientific methods. And then for the main discussions, so I would like also to discuss about the validations issues and the scientific methods. And at the end of the presentations, I want to share with you about the roles of the artificial intelligence, including the machine learning and other algorithms that could help digital forensic investigator to boost or to encourage the process of the investigations. And in the last sessions, of course, I hope we can interact to each other by some questions or comments of this topic. Let me start my presentation about the issue of the data integrity. So I would say that one of the most essential aspects in the digital forensics investigation process is how that we need to ensure the integrity of the data that we collected. We are talking about the data integrity itself. So there are some elements that we need to take into account. So basically, there are three main characteristics of the data integrity in the digital forensics field. First, the accuracy of the data, which means that we need to deliver the data started from how we preserve the data, we collect the data, we analyze the data, then we need to report the data. So during the process, we need to analyze the data with high accuracy, or in the less of error rates of the data integrity. The second ones, we are talking about the completeness. So one of the challenges about the digital forensics investigation is how then we can collect the data in the complete form. And the other one is about the consistency of the data itself. So which means we need to analyze the data, or we collect the data with the consistent situations. And then for the rest of the elements, we also talk about the possibility of the redundancy of the data, the validity, the data, the row count, how we ensure that the relationship between the tables, if any, in the data that we collected, and of course about the domain integrity itself. So if we try to concerns about this kind of data integrity concepts, so therefore we expect that we can present and deliver our investigation report as a valid evidence in the courtroom. This is the main objective of the digital forensic investigation in terms of the data integrity. And the next one, still in the data integrity issues. So during the investigation process, we postulated that the practitioner-driven or professional sectors play a dominant role, both in the development of the tools, the software, the hardware, for the digital forensics supporting tools, and also for the study of the area of the digital forensics at the same time. So as a result, the studies in the field of the digital forensics tend to be more ad hoc, which means that we only focus on the one-off process of the investigation. So started from the preservation until the reporting steps. So this is the ad hoc. So without sometimes we need to iterate the process itself by looking at probably the error rate, or we need to be more focused on the particular step in between. And the second one's investigator-driven, which means that sometimes we, from the perspective of the practitioner-driven, so the process of the digital forensic investigation sometimes based on the individual experience. For example, the police officer domain or from the practitioner's experience without take into account about the possibility of the using such a kind of scientific method. So this is the background of my my research regarding the data integrity issue. So we are look back to the definition of the forensic science in the digital form. So digital forensic is the branch of forensic science that encompassing the recovery, investigations, examination, and analysis of the matters. Matters means the data itself that we found in digital devices, or sometimes often relation to the mobile devices or smartphone devices, or other, for example, GPS devices, CCTV devices, and also the computer crimes. And again, from the perspective of the scientific approach to digital forensic science, means we need to preserve the data, we need to collect the data, and the validations. So that's why I try to highlight the text of the validations here. And then we need to identify, we analyze, we need to interpret the data by construct the hypothesis, for example. We need to construct the documentations of the report. And at the end of the process, we need to present our investigation report into the digital evidence form in the courtroom. And then, furthermore, we are talking about the objective of the digital forensic science. So basically, the objective is to perform the structured investigations. I mean, the structure here, we need to like sequential steps while maintaining a documented chain of evidence, or sometimes people say chain of custody, in order to find the particular or the exactly situation, so what happened, and on a computer or internet devices. And we need to answer the questions, who was responsible for it? I mean, who is the suspect itself, the witness in the location, and then the question might also how to do so in the digital forensics, because of in its own area in the scientific expertise. So we need to combine from the two main domains. First, from the academia, I mean the scientific and the courseworks domain, and also the professional domain by having some certifications of the digital forensics. So by combining these two kinds of the domains, so we expect that we can deliver, we can process of the digital forensic investigations professionally. And then, therefore, in the digital forensics, we need the scientific methods, not only focus on the practitioner-driven or from the perspective of the individual or expert itself. So this is the process, the basic process of the scientific method. Of course, I try to draw this flow chart. We start from the ask questions here, means we need to get well informed about the case itself. For example, like the frauds, the malware or the identity theft, for example, then we do background research in order to support our hypothesis in between. And then we need to construct the hypothesis or the theory of the case, and then so we do the investigations through the analysis methods. Then at the end we draw the conclusion and prove the hypothesis, and we provide the report of the results. So then, where's the scientific method? So one of the requirements of the scientific method, we enable to look back the process. For example, if the investigations or the analysis process is not well run, or is not well satisfied with the results, so we need to look back again to the background research, and then we try to construct new hypothesis or theory. Then we continue the process until the report. Before we discuss about the validations, the importance of the validation in the digital forensic investigation. So let me try to introduce you this taxonomies and the process of the digital forensic. So if you are talking about the digital forensic taxonomy, basically we will join, or we will focus on the three main stakeholders here. First, from the perspective of the public domains, for example, the governments or the university or other governments institutions. And between, we also focus on the law enforcement as our partners in order to do the investigations. And beside the public domain and the law enforcement, we also consider about the private domain. So nowadays, most of the non-government institutions, they already had the particular units, namely digital forensic investigations, by using accredited laboratory in the private domain. So because they realize that digital forensics investigation are or should be included in their organizations. So then whatever the domain is, so the public domain, law enforcement, private domain. But the thing is, we need the standards and the guidelines in order to have the investigators to do the investigation process. So we are talking about the standards. There are three main of the standard or guideline in digital forensics. We are talking about the investigations, so the rules of evidence and presentations. In investigation, of course, this is the four main steps of the investigations. We need to preserve our acquisition of the data or the electronic evidence. We analyze the data, then we need to test the data, we examine the data, and also we provide the report. Then in the middle of the standards, we found that the rules of evidence also has important roles in order to strengthen our hypothesis or construct the reports. So there are some rules of the evidence, for example, from the scientific evidence, the federal rules mentioned about the requirements of the expert witnesses, and then the downward or the Kumho testimony by expert from the non-scientific. This is also possible. And for the presentations, so we need to collaborate with the expert witness and the technical witness because sometimes qualitatively we need also interview some witness in order to strengthen our investigation process. Next on, this is the digital forensic taxonomy. Then we try to narrow down the taxonomy into the digital investigation. So basically, we start from the digital-related offenses, of course. So in the digital forensics, there are three mains of the status of the investigation. First, like free incidents, and then during incidents, and in the last status is in the post incident. So digital forensics mostly they do the investigations in the status of the post incidents. So because there should be incidents occurs first, then we need to investigate the digital forensics. So here in these figures, start from digital related offenses like the possibility of the malware, then child pornography, for example, financial fraud, cyber theft, or identity theft. And then the top of the digital investigations, you can see digital forensic readiness here. We start from the incident occurred, so we need to define the incidents. Then we try to continue our digital forensic investigation from the data collection. How then we examine the data, analyze the data, and at the end of the process, we need to report the investigations. So then on the right side of the digital investigation, you can see digital evidence itself, whether digital evidence in the form of the hardware oriented or software oriented. So hardware oriented means that sometimes we need to live forensics directly to the server or computers, or sometimes we also need to investigate software oriented in the social media, for example. And in the bottom of the digital investigation, you can see the techniques here. So this is I would start our discussions later on because of the technique here. So there are two types of the digital investigation techniques: manual or semi-manuals or semi-automated, which is, of course, we can use some tools or digital forensic software or hardware in order to help investigation process. But I would say that in a manual or the traditional way, in order to investigate the technique of the digital forensics, then on the left side, we try to combine the automated by using the AI-based approach in order to get the high validation rate. And then as you can see, this is the basic process of digital forensics, started from the identifications to how then we can identify the evidence, whether the evidence derived from the smartphone, the computer base, or from the server base, or from the internet base or something. And then we need to preserve the data in order to secure the evidence. and then we collect the data. One of the crucial things that we are not allowed to work in the original data, so we need to make or to create the copy of the evidence, so namely the working copy evidence, and then we analyze the data. We need to construct the documentations and the analysis of the evidence, and at the end of the process, we present the result of the investigation. And then this is the advanced process of digital forensics. So this is quite with detail. So start from the identification, and then how we prepare our teams. Yeah. We need to prepare the chain of custody forms. Then we also need to decide the strategy that we approach, and the specific tools that we need to use, and then we preserve the data. Sometimes we face the restrict access of the evidence, and then we collect the data by unification of the formats. Sometimes we also consider about the possibility of the handling big data, unstructured data, and we then examine the data by improving the quality. We need sometimes also we need to normalize the data. Then we during the analysis process, we need to structure our discovery, the association, the linkage of the data itself. And at the end of the advanced process of digital forensics, we need to conclude our hypothesis or our finding. Then now I would like to talk about the challenges and the gaps. Digital forensic challenges. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 challenges. Basically, from the side of technical challenges, we talk about the data allocations. Sometimes we find that the evidence is incompatibility. Anti-forensic tools, because of the suspect try to hide the data, try to encrypt the data, so we need to anti-forensic tools. In the smartphone platforms, the suspect sometimes also wipe the data, so we need to how to retrieve the data, and then including also the deleted file folder encrypted data. The second one, challenge from the big data issues, because of normally in the computer system we investigate in the normal data. I mean, not in the high capacity or high volume of the data. So, but at the same time, we also need to consider about the heterogeneous of the data. We found the unstructured of the data from the social media, inconsistency of the data, the property of the data. And then the challenge from the electronic device and tools, because there are so many mobile or smartphone devices, platform, operating systems, and then also forensic toolbox, for example. And the challenges from the investigative process, basically, in order to process the investigation in digital forensic, we need a qualified person, the teams. I mean, certified technicians or investigators. In the investigative challenges, you also sometimes lack of the knowledge for the new cases, and then also discuss about the legal challenges. So for the legal challenges, we also concern about the privacy issues, the legal process, security issues, different regulations, different countries, different religions, different provinces. Also, they have sometimes different regulations, or even in the cross-border issues. And the last ones, the challenge from the validations. So we are talking about the validations in general. So we talk about the data preservation, data analysis, data integrity, authentic evidence, and so on. So here, I try to share the gaps of the digital forensic investigation. So on the screen, you can see from the perspective of the investigative domain. This is a very practical approach. So we start from the preservation evidence. So what should we do in these steps, like a procedural standard, how to write the evidence into the blocking system, the unlocking passwords, hash checking, chain of custody. Then we move to the locate evidence steps. We also need to mine the data, decryptions, and also the stenography analysis. And then we practically we need to analyze the evidence by system analysis, verifiable devices, computer, network security, and so on. So then in the second domain, so we sometimes we consider about the legal domain. So how we construct the arguments by doing legal practice procedures, inferential analysis, the probability theory, or Bayesian theory, artificial intelligence models is part of these steps. At the end of the process, we need to present the evidence by peer review. We need to generate the investigation report, or we try to join with the expert witness. As you can see, there are like empty space in between. So I would say that's here are the gaps. The gaps is I think yeah, let's say not always, but sometimes we try to jump the process from the investigations or practices domain and then to legal domain without validation process. So then we try to in our research we try to dig more about the why the validations of the evidence is important. So unfortunately, little research or practice reported in literature regarding the validation of the evidence. So they tend to be more focused on the practice and also the legal domain. The validation is sometimes less attention of the researchers on the practice to be shared. So this is the theory of the validation. Of course, the validations, how then we ensure that the tools, technique, or the procedure well function correctly. So the idea is if we find the evidence is validated, then we need to retain the evidence, or if it is unclear, so we need to seek further explanation. If at the end of the process it's still unclear process, so we need to reject the evidence. So for validation scientific methods, so I would like to tell you some of the scientific methods. So this is the issues with formal and scientific digital forensics. For example, number one, the lack of the data corpus or empirical data. So from the perspective of the privacy, of course, we need to record our investigations, but we very rarely reuse our empirical data for the new for the similar case. So the idea is, I mean, the reason is because of the privacy violation, because of the laws, because we have already investigated of the digital forensics, so we need to close the case, so we don't need to open the case. So the consequence is we need to create the new data sets. So by using like a historical bank of the case data, by using the management information system of the digital forensics investigation, for example. And then we also need to develop a discrete function-based test cases for tool validation. So lack of formal testing method, number 2. So we also consider about the extra cost, sometimes time intensive, and then for the proposed actions, we focus on developing a new formal testing by using the little bit more mathematical background. And then we established a matrix to measure the precision and accuracy of the forensic method and tools. And from the issues of the lack of established error rates here, so we propose the actions here in order to develop additional testing methods. And this is also important for us also to consider about the mitigation strategies here. So for example, if we find the error rates a little bit, I mean more than the threshold, the particular threshold of the score, for example. So we need to how to mitigate the error rate. Then for the issues number 4, about the general acceptance of the issues. So because by default there are no consensus about the digital forensics investigation between the legal and technical framework. So we need to have a consensus itself. Then anti-forensic methods for the validation. So if we are not focused on the anti-forensic methods, so the consequence is we will have little bit problem with the validations results. So because of the situations, there might be sometimes we do unintentionally the data, or we override the data by another process. Then so we need to define the appropriate anti-forensics or configurations and so on. And the last one is the rapid explorations and diversity of the scientific digital forensics. So the reasons because of the new devices. So by day by day, time by time, we can see on the news that most of the devices technology company, they try to introduce the new version of the devices. Also the reasons from the open standard, privacy issues, and also the proper legal infrastructure. So what are the proposed actions? So we try to proactive approaches by joining the consensus between the company and the university or academia domain, and then we also need to propose adjustment and legal framework. I think so for the last issues of my presentation is about the roles of artificial intelligence here. So I jump to the AI contribution to digital forensic, because I think it's quite a long time for me to introduce you what is the AI looks like. And so this is focused on the AI contribution to the digital forensic. So in general, artificial intelligence can support the identifications for certain elements of images, videos, or even audio which under digital forensic investigations. So you can imagine that in the analysis process for one video case, we need probably we cannot predict how long does it take. For example, for the 2 hours or 3 hours video durations, you probably need about 3 days, 4 days, or even more. Then by using the AI, so we can adapt some algorithms in order to accelerate our analysis. And the second one, AI also enables the digital forensic investigator to identify and predict where the next crime or incident will occur by location and time. So by using the empirical data that I have already mentioned before, so we can predict and identify what next. So if we 5W and 1H, right? So why, what, when, where, who. So there will be one additional W, what next? So there are 6W and plus 1H or how. And the third one, AI also provides the quantitative data analytics by using the algorithms or machine learning approach, because we try to dig and analyze the data without much confusion or fuss. On the screen, so this is just illustration the roles of the AI. If we try to analyze the videos that the video itself like the evidence of the case, so we try to use the face recognitions in order to capturing, extracting, and comparing and match the face. So by using manual approach, it takes about probably, I don't know, like a 3 or 5 days. But by using this kind of methods, can decrease more the times and the accuracy of the analysis. Then this is just to show you the difference between the manual task and the automated task. So from the perspective of the automated or AI approach, we can do more reactive of the analysis process in order to help the investigator. I think this is the final slides that I share with you today. So this is still the discussion of my research about the validations. So first and foremost, we need to set the standard. So before we validate the data or the evidence, we need to set the standard. So we can choose. There are several options of the standard of the digital forensic investigations, and one of the standards we can use the NIST standards. There are two characteristics of the NIST standard. For example, digital forensic test results are repeatable with the same results, and then digital forensic also need to reproducible. Reproducible mean sometimes we need to use the same method but in the different environments. And so the one more last things about this setting and the standard, we will also try to do the investigation process. I mean, from the preservation and quality data into the crime scenes, we need to transport the data into the digital forensic laboratory accreditations. Normally, or basically in general, laboratory use ISO 17025 2017. Then next, scientific methods. That's why I have already mentioned before about the scientific methods, the role of the scientific methods. We need to validation and verification. So WV of the software and tools. So by using the IEEE standards, 1988, for example, ISO, or other software tools validations. And then at the same time, we also consider about digital forensics model. We can adapt the scientific working group, digital evidence, or by using integrated digital investigation process, or IDIP, and end-to-end digital investigations and others. Okay, then what about artificial intelligence? So after we set the standard, then we try to keep focus on the scientific method consequently. Then we also try to involve the artificial intelligence here by delivering knowledge representation. For example, here empirical evidence. We use machine learning algorithms, data analysis and management. We also use the data mining or NLP, for example, and for pattern recognition by capturing, extracting, comparing, and matching the data. At the end of the process of the investigation, of course, we need the validation results in order to deliver more accurate and reliable of the investigation process. And the last one is in order to promote the trustworthiness of digital evidence. I think that's all my presentation slides, and thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Dr. Luthfi. I would like to open now to the floor. If there's any question, you can do it live here, or also those who are online. Yeah, maybe you can also type your question or comment. Yeah, I can see one there from Dr. Sim. The question goes, if one is interested on the digital forensic pathway, so what would you recommend to the individual to embark on this journey?
Okay. If one is interested on digital forensic pathway, what you recommend the individual? So even we try to do the digital forensics in the pathway. So my suggestion is I recommend to still using the scientific method as well. So I mean, the individual sometimes subjective results. So please consider about the digital forensics and the scientific methods by using the appropriate software or tools, and or even sometimes for the cost reasons, people then decide to use the open source tools, and I think that's all fine as long as we can ensure that the tools itself that we are not trying to jump the process one by one of the process. I think that's from my my points.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? You can, if you are here live in the room but you're shy, you can do it through the chat. Students tend to do that, right? Typing is better than speaking up. While waiting for that one or two comments question, maybe I have one. Dr. Luthfi,
Yeah.
you talk about using AI, but we also see the bad guys also using AI to attack, right? So is that both are using AI to outsmart each other? Do you see ever there's an end to this cat and mouse chase?
Like I cannot hear clearly about the question. Can you repeat one more time?
I'm saying you see even the bad people, right? If they want to perform any of this digital fraud and so on, they are also using AI. They will probably see what our AI is trying to catch them, and they will try to outsmart the AI, right? So that's how the both AI is trying to outsmart each other in this whole journey. I think that's tiring. But what do you see with all these things with AI? Does it really help us, or we just go into this cat and mouse chase?
Yes, I think yes. This is also interesting topic. So basically, technology part is like the two sides of the coins. So from our side as a digital forensic investigator, we try to do the more accurate of the data. So I would say that from AI for, let's say, the bad guys, they can also recognize our AI and vice versa. But for me myself, let's try to focus on the how, because at the end of the process of the AI from the investigator perspective, how then we try to how many percentage of the match score. So probably from the side of the bad guy, for example, from the other person, they try to not to match, but try to configure in order to construct the new probability of the result. So again, I would say that from the perspective of the investigator, we are focused on the AI in order to match the result from the tools that we use, then try to compare in the AI steps which one is more accurate. This is from my perspective.
Okay, so AI is to help us to react faster, right? To
yes,
respond faster.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Maybe one last question that's from our audience here, Ed. He says, you can see the question, right? How do you deal with data privacy issue when you collect data?
Yes, this is also one of the challenges of the digital forensic investigators. So I'll give you the illustration. So we also sometimes receive the evidence from the law enforcement, then they ask our team to investigate. So in the free report, the police mentioned that the case is derived from the WhatsApp chat, for example. So, but the thing is, we need to clone the data physically. That sometimes we get all the data. So during the process, we are considered about the data privacy issues here. So this is about the ethics. There are 5 elements that we need to consider for the digital forensic investigator. First, about the cyber crimes domain. Second, about the law. Then technology part, digital evidence, and the last one is about the ethics. The ethics. So this is depend on of the digital forensics issues, but the data privacy issues is yes. I agree that we are facing a little bit more challenge in order to. This is the private one. This is the public one. This is still depend on how digital forensic investigators try to be more professional in this case.
Yeah, I think when it comes to data privacy, even the legislation side, right? How law and policies are designed, I think that's probably the slowest actually, because it takes a long time to come out. And some more, the implementation is a big question mark, because its policy may be good, but to get it working, that everyone understand it, I think these are all challenges. But to conclude, I think challenges means we all still have a job to do, which is a good thing, right? We have things that we can work together, especially from university research, the agencies, right? So that we can solve more problems and start making moves. I think I see it as opportunity. All right, so I think we are now at 3 p.m. plus. So thank you very much,
You are welcome. You are
yeah,
welcome.
for
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah, I think
Thank
we have
you.
learned quite a lot in this very relevant,
Yes.
yet maybe a little bit foreign topic, since we only heard about it. So it may open up new conversation, which I hope that's something the conference participants, all our audience, all can do this together. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much again. And
You're welcome.
yeah, have a nice day. Yeah.
Have a nice day.
See you
Yeah.
again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So
Right.
with this, we will end this session, and maybe we take a 5 minutes break, and then we'll continue with the next parallel session. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
So all
Thank you very much. Bye.
participants, do remember to go to your individual virtual rooms, right? Because the next session will be